Hey Buns, do you like to level up, collect transmogs, pets, and mounts, and to forget what year it is? Well, if you're playing World of Warcraft, the answer is probably yes. So in today's video, I wanted to give you a rundown of one of my favorite recurring events, Timewalking. This event comes back to the in-game calendar every 3 weeks and rotates through old expansions. So this week it's Burning Crusade Timewalking, but next time it'll be Wrath, then Cataclysm, then Mist, then Warlords, then Legion. But what is Timewalking? Are you not prepared? Well, this is like a week-long celebration of an old expansion that lets you do old dungeons and raids, but get actually good loot that you can use now. So during Timewalking week, you might find a special new dungeon queue in the group finder that lets you do scaled versions of an old expansion's dungeons. These will give more XP than normal dungeons, and the loot you get will scale up to your actual level. You only need to be level 30 for Burning Crusade and Wrath themed weeks, 35 for Cata or Mists themed weeks, 40 for Warlords themed weeks, and 45 for Legion themed weeks. One other small disclaimer is that if you're above level 60, you need above eye level 180 to do the Timewalking event content. If you're on a freshly boosted character or a new evoker, you might need to wait 24 to 48 hours before you can start doing Timewalking dungeon queue. Apart from dungeons, you can also do a Timewalking raid like Black Temple during BC week or Ulduar during Wrath week. But these versions of the raids are pretty casual and they're basically like a Zerg in my experience. They offer you a really easy way to gear up and maybe see some things that you haven't ever seen before in lower resolution and less pixels than ever. You can also earn a special Timewalking badges to buy all kinds of neat stuff like mounts, pets, toys that are thematic to that week's expansion. Yes, the stuff you can buy during a BC Timewalking week will be different from what you can buy during Wrath of the Lich King Timewalking week. So today I want to dive into some of the best rewards you can get from this event and how to make sure that you get the most out of Timewalking every time. First things first, quests. So Timewalking week has some very important quests that you want to pick up before you start dungeoning or nearly wiping in Botanica. First quest that everyone can and should get is the Timewalking raid quest from the main city of the expansion in question. For example, if it is BC week, you'll have the disturbance detected Black Temple raid quest from the NPC in Shatrath City. This raid quest will reward you with 500 time warped badges on completion. We'll talk more about those in a little bit. The other super important quest, if you're max level, go to the main city and pick up the blue quest for defeating 5 Timewalking raid or dungeon bosses. This will reward you with a very nice piece of eye level 597 loot. Basically, it will be the normal raid eye level loot for the current tier, and it's very easy to do this quest. Like, I was scared at first to even attempt the Timewalking raids because I'm a WoW boomer. And back in my day, Black Temple was hard. Ulduar was very, very hard and scary, but don't be scared. The 2024 Timewalking Black Temple is not the same as 2007 OG Black Temple. This is really true of all the Timewalking raids. You are fine to just click on the green eyeball by the quest and join any raid group for these. They are Zergs. You can follow the group, and the bosses are essentially loot pinatas. One run of the raid, it will very easily knock out this defeat 5 dungeon or raid bosses quest for you, and also the raid quest in one go. I should add that for the Timewalking dungeon bosses, there's a small chance that the Reigns of the Infinite Time Reaver will drop from any boss. It happened to me, actually, so maybe you'll get lucky too. This is one of my favorite mounts, even more so since skywriting made it even cooler. So that's a reason to be doing the dungeoning. Timewalking dungeoning. So let's talk about the exclusive event currency. I just mentioned that you can get 500 from completing the raid quest, but did you know that you can do this on every character you have, and that the currency is warband transferable? This means that you can go to your currency tab, click on Time Warped Badge, click transfer, and freely move these things between all the characters on your account. Other ways to get badges besides the 500 badge raid quest: a boss is 5 badge and a boss is 10 badge, random dungeon is 10 badge, call to arms for your role on a random dungeon is 50 badge. Once per event, you can get a quest like this Whirling Vial. This is an item that'll drop from a Timewalking dungeon, and you can turn that in for 500 badge. As for what to spend it on, as I mentioned before, the NPC and Time Warped badge rewards for each expansion's Timewalking event is different. So you might not want to blow 5,000 badges on the Eclipse Dragonhawk from Burning Crusade Timewalking if you would actually rather have the Ironbound Wraith Charger from Wrath next month that costs 5,000 badges, right? So I wanted to go through some of the most notable rewards from all of the Timewalking events that are currently in the game so you can plan ahead and decide, do you want to save or do you want to spend? So for Burning Crusade, there's the Eclipse Dragonhawk mount. There is the Mark of the Ash Tongue toy, which turns you into a broken for 5 minutes on a 30-minute cooldown. Fractured Necrolite Skull. This lets you create a portal to Black Temple on a 1-hour cooldown. And more portals and travel options is always a good thing to have. This one, I'm actually going to buy. Only problem is you do have to murder a critter to make the portal with the toy. But you can combo this with another toy, the Critter Hand Cannon, which summons critters, which you can then use to fuel your portal no matter where you are. Please do not use this on the bunnies, okay? Like, let's go find a bug or something. I don't know. Anyway, another one from Burning Crusade Timewalking badges, the Ever Shifting Mirror. This is a pretty neat toy that lets you see and use portals between Draenor and Outland. Verdant Throwing Sphere, a toy where you throw a ball and catch the ball. I'd pass on that. From Wrath, the Ironbound Wraith Charger mount. Yes, it does fly, so worthy of consideration. The Hourglass of Eternity toy. I wouldn't spend 2,000 badges on this if I were you. It just summons a future version of you as a ghost on a 1-hour cooldown. Not worth it, in my opinion. Will of Northrend randomly transforms you into a Rykul, an Iron Dwarf, or a Tonka with random armor on every time. It's on a 5-minute CD and it works in combat. Being a Rykul halves your mount size. Being a Tonka doubles it, so it could be fun. I don't know. Grizzlesnout's Fang is a toy that lets you turn into a wolf and be fast, but it's only usable in Northrend, so I'd skip it. From Cataclysm Timewalking, notable rewards. Tossle Wrench's Mega Accurate Simulation Viewfinder toy. Wow, that's a mouthful. This gives you a movie-like scene in the game where Deathwing flies overhead. No one else can see it, and you're stuck in place. I couldn't really figure out what people would use this for, but apparently back in Warlords, people used it to imagine their garrisons were burning down. That was a time. There's also Gerboggle's Gleaming Bauble toy. Turns you into a Gilblin for 10 minutes, but it doesn't give other effects outside of Vashtir. I think they need to work on their Timewalking rewards for Cataclysm. From the Warlords Timewalking event, there will be for sale the Beast Lord's Iron Tusk mount and Beast Lord's Warwolf mount. Both of those are pretty cool and worth getting in my opinion. Banner of the Burning Blade. This is a toy that puts a flaming banner on your back for 10 minutes on a 1-hour cooldown. It's kind of meh in my opinion. A Pexus Focusing Shard toy. Actually cool. It lets you fire a golden laser beam and it can be channeled while walking. From the Mist Timewalking event, Yulei, Daughter of Jade, gorgeous green dragon mount, Infinite Hatchling pet, Paradox Spirit pet, all good choices. And there's the portable yak wash toy. This is pretty niche. It requires you to be mounted on a yak mount, but not Grand Expedition yak. That one, it won't work. It makes a splash visual effect and gives you the portable yak wash buff, which makes your yak appear soaking wet. Might want to consider other stuff. Legion Timewalking. This is the thing I want so bad. The Favor of the Val'sharah Hippogriff. This is I'm currently saving towards. There's also Nightborn Guard's Vigilance toy. 3-minute cooldown, but half if you're Nightborn. Makes a big dispelling circle and you're like, who goes there? Okay, like have fun with that. But of course, mounts, pets, and toys are not the only things you can buy with Time Warped badges. You can also buy heirloom tokens to upgrade heirloom gear to higher max levels, or buy badge gear for different slots, some being good for transmog. For example, the Nightborn type Suramar weapons you can get from Legion Timewalking. Those aren't available anywhere else. A Timewalking event also provides a world buff that will give you reputation gains from quests and creature kills for reputation associated with that expansion. It's a 50% buff, for example, Sign of the Twisting Nether for BC. This is really good because factions within expansions have their own associated loot. Netherwing dragons from BC have gorgeous netherwing drakes that you need max rep to buy, or silver hippogriff from Wrath's Silver Covenant faction, or the amber scorpion from Claxi of Mists of Pandaria, right? You can also use badges to buy reputation tokens directly for 500 rep each, and those are bind to warband. These old reps are not all warbound yet, but you can send the tokens to your characters that have the highest reps for the factions that you want, because you're probably going to be going for, I don't know, mounts and pets and things, and those things will be account wide when you learn them. Honestly, when you think about all the stuff that there is to get from every little faction within every expansion, you really start to understand how freaking massive World of Warcraft is, and there's just limitless things to do. So to save time, you might want to capitalize on these rep buffs in time walking. Now, while today's video has mostly been focused on the way time walking events typically work, I've got to mention the fact that with the World of Warcraft 20th anniversary event coming up on October 22nd with patch 1105, there will be a special vendor there selling stuff in exchange for time warped badges, and you can earn more badges during the event. The main event currency will be bronze celebration tokens. Those are the ones we'll use for the tier 2 sets and a lot of this big flashy rewards, but you'll also be able to use time warped badges there for all kinds of stuff. But in the meantime, I'll put a link to this Wowhead article that goes into all the different things we know for sure will be for sale at the event in exchange for time warped badges, just so you know what to save up for. I personally will be saving up for that Frey Feather Hippogriff for 5,000 badges because I gotta get every Hippogriff. Another thing I'd like to add is that I've seen some confusion around time walking campaigns, aka Chromie Time. That doesn't have anything to do with what we're discussing here. The time walking event that's once every 3 weeks on the calendar that we've been talking about here today, that's not Chromie Time. Chromie Time is something totally separate that is a leveling mode that allows you to choose an expansion to level in so that you can see that expansion's story, and it's sometimes called time walking campaigns. So that's really all there is to it. This is a fun recurring event that is worth doing for all kinds of reasons, leveling, getting collectible items, and I hope that this video really helped clarify what time walking is for those of y'all who might be new or returning, and might help you plan for some of the stuff that you want to get from these events now or in the future. I personally really need the Legion Hippogriff and that horrible Black Temple portaler thing. What about you though? Let me know in the comment section down below what you're going for, what you most want to get from time walking. If you managed to get extremely lucky with the Infinite Dragon mount from Time Walking Dungeons, I'm really excited to see more expansions maybe get added to the rotation in the future. You know, say what you want about Battle for Azeroth, but it had some pretty great transmogs and pets and mounts, so I would love to see that one added, but I guess only time will tell. Also, I apologize if my voice has been a little bit off today. I have a pretty bad cold and I'm just trying to tough it out so I can record the video. I also want to thank my patrons and my Ko-Fi supporters for your support of the channel. That is what makes this whole thing possible. It's what makes content creation possible. It's what allows videos to get made, so thank you.
I'd also like to thank my OnlyBuns who subscribe at the highest tier. That's Jeanette B, Chris, and Pete Wilson.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our guilds. We are still recruiting. You're free to join us. OnlyBuns on NA or EU. We are doing tons of things together, like Black Temple Timewalking Raids. We have been doing normal raids and delves and leveling stuff and all kinds of things. It's been a pretty great community, so if you're looking for a guild to join, we'd love to have you. That's all for today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!